Okay, we're going to do an old trick called crack a WEP key, and we're going to use an old tool called Aircrack-ng. Kind of like Nmap and Netcat, Aircrack-ng is a venerable old tool, been around for a while, gone through a few revisions, and we're going to use it to crack a WEP key. Now, probably nobody is running WEP anymore. Well, you never know. But this is a good fundamental skill to have because it gives us an understanding of just hacking a wireless network in general. So the first thing you need to do is make sure you have already set up a wireless access point or a router with whatever SSID like Linksys and a WEP key of whatever you want it to be, but in our case we're making it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You'll have to refer to the documentation of your router or your WAP to set this up. Just make sure it's a WEP key and make it 40-bit, or they might call it 64-bit. Just make sure it's not 128-bit because it'll just take longer. Just so you can see the hardware I have, I'm using an old Linksys WRT54G. It was quite the thing in its day. It's quite old now, and hopefully it'll still work for us. And my network card is a Alpha AWS 036 NHA. You can get it on Amazon, eBay, and a bunch of other places. So just so you know my infrastructure here. So what we're going to do is I've got the Linksys set up. It is the SSID of Linksys and the WEP key of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I also have a phone handy, which is not connected yet. And we're going to capture its handshake, and we're going to replay it. So I've also plugged in my ASUS into the Kali VM. Let me just show you what I did. So here I am in Kali. Just log in. Just click in here first of all. Root, tour. And just so you can see here, I went to the player here, and I went to removable devices, and I made sure that the Atheros, it's called an Atheros because that's its chipset, but I made sure that the NIC is plugged in. I know it's connected because now it says disconnect. And when I come over here and I open a terminal, let me just zoom in a little bit here. I'm going to probably have to expand this a bit so we can just see better. My Kali gets a little slow. When I ifconfig, you can see that I have, well, I really need to expand this, don't I? Because it's hard to see anything. Yeah, okay. How about I do this? Let me just xrender TAC S, and let me expand this to 1280 by 1024 maybe. So, and let me just run this again here. Let me just expand this a little bit so we can just see a little bit better. And let me just go and make sure that my Wi-Fi adapter is on over here. So let me just come up here and just go over, and let me just go to my settings over here. I just want to make sure that the Wi-Fi adapter is actually on. No Wi-Fi adapter found. Well, sometimes you have to disconnect and reconnect it. So in case that happens, I'm coming over to Player, Removable Devices, and I'm going to disconnect, and then I'm going to reconnect. There's a lot of moving parts when you do this in a virtual machine. It's a whole lot easier if you just have an old laptop. Let me just reconnect, and about to be unplugged from the host and connected. Yes, let's do that. And hopefully it'll wake up and find it. Sometimes you even have to reboot Kali. So let me ifconfig. And it says unsuccessful driver error. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to reboot. I'm going to unplug Atheros and I'm going to plug it back in physically. And I'm glad this actually is happening so I can demo it for you right now. So what I'm going to do is I am going to reboot Kali. I'm going to unplug the network adapter. After Kali is up, I'm going to plug it in, and we're going to try it again. So let me pause this so I don't waste your time. Okay, I have rebooted. I am plugging the NIC back in. It's particularly tricky when you have virtual machines and you're trying to do this. See, it popped up and says connect to a virtual machine. Let's pick that. Click OK. Login as root. Whoops, login as the proper person, right? Root, tour. Okay. And when it comes up, let's just open a terminal. I can see the NIC over here is flashing next to me. me open up a terminal and let me if config and just make sure it's here. Yep, there it is, WLAN 0, folks. Yours might be called something different, like ATH0, ATH for Atheros 0 or something. So, but mine is called WLAN 0. Okay, so let me just zoom in a little bit here and let me just expand this. Xrandr TAC S 1280 by 1024. All right, let's zoom in. I'm actually glad when some of these troubleshooting issues happen, just so we can troubleshoot it together and I can show you. Okay, now where were we? We have our compatible Wi-Fi network adapter connected, and what we want to do is just make sure that we can if config and iwconfig. We don't really need to record the MAC address here. So we if config, we know that WLAN 0 is there. If we iwconfig, we can see WLAN 0. Okay, great. Alrighty. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start sniffing the network. We're going to use the one of the Aircrack tools called Airmon-ng, and we're just going to use it to validate the wireless adapter, and then we're going to Airmon-ng start WLAN 0. It will put it in promiscuous mode. That's necessary so that it'll sniff all traffic, not just traffic aimed for itself. Then we're going to, once we have that on, we're going to start arrow dump to capture initialization vectors. And we're going to capture them into a file called cap file. You can call this file anything you like. And we're going to capture them on WLAN 0 mon. When we put the adapter in promiscuous mode, it's going to change its name to WLAN 0 mon. So let's start that. Let's just do that much. I'm going to just type clear so we're up at the top. Let's Airmon TAC-ng. So yes, the interface is called WLAN 0. All right. So now let's Airmon TAC-ng start WLAN 0. And watch how it changes its name. Airmon TAC-ng start WLAN 0. Now it says, look, there are some processes that could cause trouble. Kill them by typing Airmon TAC-ng check kill before putting the card in monitor mode. Monitor mode, which is what it's in now, it used to be in managed mode. Monitor mode is what's necessary for promiscuous mode sniffing. So what we'll do is we will Airmon TAC-ng stop WLAN 0, then we'll Airmon TAC-ng check kill, and then we'll restart it again. Airmon TAC-ng stop WLAN 0, and actually what we need to do is it changed its name to WLAN 0 mon. You can't see it, but it like goes on here. So stop WLAN 0 mon. Let's do that, and it takes it back to its old name. So it should take it back to its old name of WLAN 0. Okay, so monitor mode has been disabled. All right, so let's run that check kill command. Get rid of any things that might interfere, because sometimes what happens when these things are running, your NIC will keep going to a different channel, and it won't connect to the channel it needs. So let's Airmon TAC-ng check kill. Whoops, got to type it right. Airmon TAC-ng check kill. And it should kill some processes, and then we'll start the NIC again. So it killed 3 processes. There were others here, but it did kill these processes, so it said these are the ones. So now let's Airmon TAC-ng start WLAN 0. One more time. Let's put it in monitor mode. Okay, so now monitor mode is enabled. And it's enabled for WLAN 0, but it's now called WLAN 0 mon. I'm sorry it wrapped around here. So if we iwconfig, we can see it's now called WLAN 0 mon because it's in monitor mode. Okay, we've done that much. So now what we want to do is we want to just find out some info. We're going to start capturing IVs to a file simply called cap file. Call it anything you like. And so we're going to issue this next command here. And you can actually, quite honestly, copy and paste. Right-click copy. Should be able to do it. There should be a shared clipboard. Right click, paste, and let's go. Now I'm going to hit Control C immediately to break this, because what we're looking for is Linksys. There's the Linksys. It's a little bit off the screen here. And we can see Linksys is in channel 11, and the thing that we're particularly interested in is the MAC address. They call it the BSS ID. The MAC address of the access point, which is called the ESS ID. So Linksys, it's a little bit off the screen, sorry about that. We want this MAC address right here. I'm going to highlight this. I can see it's on channel 11. I'm going to right click and I'm going to copy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a LeafPad text file here, just this green thing, that's a LeafPad. It's kind of like Notepad. And I'm going to paste and just have this handy. So let's have that handy. So that was the first thing that we wanted to do. So now let's go back and see what we need to do here. So we made note of the WEP MAC address and the channel number. And so now what we need to do is we need to focus just on it. And at some point we also need the client MAC address as well. So the tricky part is that we didn't see any clients down here. If we up arrow, we might be able to, let me just up arrow and run this again. We might be able to see some clients. See that BSS ID station here? But it kind of disappeared. It kind of got pushed off the screen is the problem. The problem is it got pushed off the screen. So it's challenging. So what we want to do is I'm going to use my phone right now to try to make a connection. And I'm just going to see, we want to try to capture that client MAC address, and it's getting pushed off of this screen. In fact, if I zoom out, we might be able to see it if I zoom out, and if I stretch this down a bit. There are so many access points in this area. It's ridiculous. There's so many that they're just kind of interfering with what we're trying to accomplish here. Yeah, just way too many. We should normally see down at the bottom a whole new thing here of clients making connections, but there are so many APs in this area that it's just totally interfering. So let's Control C and break this thing. And we're going to see if we can just focus on just our particular one. Let's see if we can focus on this, instead of just like being any and all. Let's focus just on channel 11 and just this MAC address of the AP and see if we can see the client that way. So I'm going to type this command here. In fact, let me see if I can just copy and paste and then edit it. Let me copy and let me paste, see if this actually works. Now, I have to change this channel with 11. So let me just left arrow over, see if I can go over. It's got to be changed just to channel 11. 11. And then the AP MAC, what I need is I need to go over to the text file again, and I need to get it. Here's the MAC of the AP. Didn't mean to cut. Oh, great. See if I can paste it back on. Didn't mean to cut this. Okay, right click, copy. Okay, now I want to replace this little placeholder here. Got to be careful that we still have all the spaces and stuff. Okay, so it looks like it was okay. So let me just now right arrow. In fact, you don't even have to do that. I'm going to press enter. See if we can focus on just this one thing. So, okay, there's a station right there. That's probably my phone. And because I don't think I have anything else connected. All right, great. So that's what we need. So I'm going to right click and copy the MAC address of the client, the station, which I believe is my phone. I'm just going to put it here. So I have that handy as well. So this is the MAC of the AP. We call that the BSS ID. This is the MAC of the client, the station. And so we have that handy. All right. So if we look here, we can see that it's collecting data at a very slow rate. Now, the IVs are the data. We need about 20,000 of these in order to be able to crack this WEP key. So we need to goose this a little bit, and here's where it may or may not work, so we may have to mess around with this. So we're going to do an ARP replay. We're going to use air replay, tac ARP replay, and then put in the BSS ID here, and then the MAC of the client, WLAN 0 mon. So we need to open another terminal. Let me right click and go new window. And very often this doesn't work first time around. And there are many reasons why. There are many things that can interfere. So if it doesn't work for you the first or second or third time, don't be discouraged. Keep trying. Make sure you do everything correctly and carefully. So okay, so we've got the one thing slowly capturing the IVs, but it's going way too slow. So now we need to juice it up a little bit here. So let's type. Let me scoot this over just a bit here so we can see this. We're going to do an air replay ARP replay right here. I have to fix this. Let me right click copy. Let me put it in here, paste, and I need to replace this with the BSS ID and that with the client IP, or excuse me, MAC. So let me come over to our text file, and I'm going to grab the MAC of the WAP, copy that. This thing is a little bit big. It keeps getting in the way. So let me just come down to this one. So let me left arrow, make sure I'm in here, left arrow, and we're going to replace the MAC of the WAP. Right click, paste. Okay, now I need to come over a little bit. We need the MAC of the client, the station, the host. Let me come back over to LeafPad and let me get this thing. I'm pretty sure this is my phone because nothing else, I hope, is connected to this thing. So let me right click and paste this and make sure we've got space. There is a space there. Okay. So assuming that I did that properly, let's let it rip. Enter. Okay, so it's reading packets. What I need to do is I need to juice this little thing. We need to see this stream. So I'm going to disconnect and reconnect my phone. So I'm coming over to my phone right now. I'm sorry I can't show you, but I'm just going to my phone, and I'm going to the Wi-Fi settings, and I am just going to forget this, and I'm going to reconnect. So let me just reconnect to Linksys here, and I'm going to just put in the password of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Connect. Okay, boom, caught it. You see that? It captured it. Now, what happened is, and sometimes you have to disconnect and reconnect a bunch of times for this to work. And did you hear that little diddle? That was my phone saying, hey, you're connected to Linksys, but there's no internet. You want to stay connected? Yeah. Tap yes. So what is happening now is when I made the connection, I disconnected my phone and I reconnected it. It grabbed that very first thing that the phone tried to do was the phone tried to send an ARP request, and AeroDump grabbed that, and Air Replay grabbed that, and then its ARP replay is replaying it at high speed, which is kind of inducing the access point to respond at high speed. We only need to capture about 20,000 of these. This is data, meaning initialization vectors. IVs, as we know from other studies, are basically a way of extending a short WEP key to make it a little bit longer. The problem is it has a statistical bias. It is a weak implementation of the RC4 algorithm. And so you only need about 20,000 packets. It used to be a lot more, but these days the cracking algorithms have gotten so good. You only need about 20,000 packets, and we're past that now, in order to be able to crack the key. So while this is running, we're going to open a third terminal. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to new window here, and kind of bring this on top here. And I'm just going to zoom in. And I just want to show you. So I've got a third terminal, this sort of like arrow glass effect that Kali does. I don't know if I like it or not. Okay, we're now going to run Aircrack down here. But first I want to show you the capture file. We call it cap file. I'm here in my profile. If I ls, you can see that I've got some cap files, and these are from when I stopped and started, right here, okay? I called it cap file, and then it's an IVS, right? If I ls tac L, what we want is the big one. So we want the one that's big, that one right there, because these were just little stops and starts just to get information. We want to go after cap file tac 3 IVS. That's the one we're after. So we're going to Aircrack-ng tac B, the AP MAC, the MAC of the AP, so it doesn't waste time on anything else, and then this one right here, cap file tac 03 IVS. So let's Aircrack tac ng tac B, come over to leaf pad, get this thing so it only focuses on that access point and not any extraneous garbage. Let's minimize these things, and we can even stop these things. Probably good enough now, but we'll just run them. And space, let me right click and paste, and then space, and what was it? It was cap file tac03.ivs. Highlight, copy, come over here, paste. Should not take long at all. Press enter. Let's go. Boom. Look at that. Found it in like less than a second. How awesome is that? So that is cracking a WEP key using Aircrack-ng.